Hey y'all, it's your girl, Sarah from Sarah Styles here. Time is money. You know that I say it all the time, and it's absolutely true. I'm constantly getting asked, how do you do it all? Stay-at-home mom of 3, reseller on PoshMark. And first off, I want to say I do not do it all. There is at least one unfolded, needing to be folded basket of laundry in our house at any given time. Often multiple times, multiple baskets. I recently went out and just bought more baskets instead of folding the laundry. Dishes always need to be done, whatever. So don't by any means think that I do it all. But this video, I'm going to give you some tips and tricks that I use to be able to make the most of my time in my reselling business. So stay tuned. Welcome to my channel. Thanks for joining in. If you are new here, make sure to hit the subscribe and notifications. Look at my shirt. It just caught my eye. No shame in my thrifting game. My friend actually makes them. So if you want her to make you one, she totally will. Drop a note below or send me a DM on Instagram. And she can totally, this one, let me show you. She put my logo on it. So like way cool, right? And she does it. This is actually a reused thrift store shirt that I got. And so she can do it on that too. Anyway, so I am a reseller on PoshMark, mainly PoshMark app. I dabble a little bit in eBay. I resell thrift store finds, Goodwill Outlet bins in Denver, retail stores, the ARC, Salvation Army, you know, all of that. And then I also have a degree in mathematics and experience in data analytics. So I've created an analytical dashboard for the PoshMark sales report. So instead of looking at this nasty CSV file that looks like a foreign language, you copy and paste it into the tool and it populates and shows you graphs and charts to help grow your business and make better decisions about your sourcing and whatnot. I'll leave a link to that below, and then at the end of the video there will be a discount code for that. But today I want to talk a little bit about time is money, how to be efficient, tips and tricks that I do that help me make the most use of my time. I am a stay-at-home mom of 3. I get roughly 10-ish hours a week kid-free, and tip number 1, I use some of that kid-free time is childcare at the gym. So it's not free. I pay for a gym membership, but you get 2 hours of childcare. Sometimes I go and just work. I don't even work out. I take my computer and I do stuff kid-free. This would be things that are on my computer, right? And so I'll get into some of that stuff later. And sometimes I work out, sometimes I don't. So that's one tip. But I want to show you how I basically work part-time, and so some things I can do while my kids are around, but there's a lot of stuff that you can't do. So how do I make the most of my time? And I want to tell you that. So I made some notes. One thing I want to talk about before we get too much into it is sourcing. Make the most of your sourcing trip. And how do you do this? I'm going to link a video above where I talk about how to look at your data to source smarter and not harder. So when you only have, I went shopping yesterday and I went in for 15 minutes and I walked out with over $500 worth of things to sell. So looking at your data to make better decisions about what you're sourcing so that when you do only have a few minutes, you can make the most of that time. Or even when you have a lot of time, you're making the most of that time so that you can increase your sales. So definitely watch that video. But I'm going to talk more about like things that I do in the prep and stuff. So prep. I shop a lot at retail, and I've done a video on retail versus bins, how I analyze that, which I thought was pretty cool. Something different is going to work for everybody, but it kind of shows you how to analyze the data. Prep. Hang your clothes right away. Get a couple hanging racks or put them in your closet or wherever it is. Let them air out. Even if that's the first thing that I do when I get home is hang things up and lay out my shoes. Hang purses up. Let things air out. There's often times that I shop 1 week and I don't get to listing it for like 2 weeks. So that gives it 2 weeks to kind of some of the wrinkles to get out, to air out a bit. If it's from the bins, you get a lot of those wrinkles out. So hang dry when you get home right away. It's steaming. Does anyone hate steaming? I hate it. I hate it. It's so awful. It seems it's not a waste because your items have to look good when you take pictures, right? But it just is so boring, and it seems like I want to be doing things that I know are going to make me money, and steaming just doesn't seem like that. So a real quick tip that I do, I pop in probably 3 or 4 items into the dryer at a time with a couple wool balls and a wet rag. And it depends on the fabric. Obviously, don't do this for fabrics that aren't okay. But you do that for like 10 minutes and it takes out like 95% of the wrinkles. And then if I do have to steam, it's one quick little wrinkle here and there. So that saves time. Marathon sessions. And this is going to be a theme throughout everything. Marathon sessions save so much time because you are already, like, when you're setting things up, that takes time. And so if you're doing that multiple times, then that's a waste of time. Obviously, you have to work with what you can, but the marathon sessions of anything are going to maximize your time. So I will sit down and I will do a marathon session of cleaning shoes where I can sit down and I can clean shoes, get price tags off, clean the leather. I do the same. I usually do purses and shoes at the same time and do them all at one time. So if I only have a couple pairs of shoes, I will usually wait until I have about 20 or 30 pairs of shoes before I list all of them, because then I can maximize my time in cleaning and getting them prepped, and then also maximize my time in taking pictures. Couple tips and tricks I use. This isn't necessarily time saving, but sandpaper to get marker off the bottom of leather, and the Posh Kings, shout out to the Posh Kings. If you don't follow them on Instagram, definitely do. They're amazing. They're fabulous. I've met them a couple times in person. They're just like genuinely the nicest people in the world, and they know their stuff. They've been doing this for a long time. So hit them up on Instagram. But they told me this trick to use a light grade sandpaper to get price tags off the bottom of leather. And then for everything else, I use straight alcohol. So you can get, a bottle of alcohol for like $1 at Walgreens. So marathon sessions, photo shoots. Try to do marathon sessions of photo shoots. If you're only having to set everything up one time, and depending on how you are, I know a lot of people do this as like a side gig and they're doing it like in their bedroom, right? So you don't have the stuff set up all the time. For me, I have my own studio, but it's still not big enough to have my stuff set up all the time. And it usually takes me 10 or 15 minutes to set that up. And if I'm doing that, if I were to do a couple photos every day and I'm spending 15 minutes setting up, that's 15 minutes times 7 days a week. That's 2 hours spent setting up. Like, that's 2 hours. I mean, the amount of photos I could have taken in 2 hours, it's a waste of time. So, I mean, if you only have time to do that, fine. But what I try and do, and sometimes it's hard, but to do a mass photo session. And so even if it's at night and I'm like, oh, I'm tired and I don't want to do this, if I bang it out, then I don't have to do it the rest of the week and I'm saving those 2 hours. So I will try as hard as I can when I can to do a mass photo session. And then also in the mass photo session, do mass photo sessions by type, because then you're also saving time setting up for the type of item. So I have my setup for all my shoes at one time and I do all my shoes. And if I only have a couple pairs of shoes, I will usually wait until I have 15, 20 pairs of shoes to where I can do a mass photo session. Same with purses. Do it by type, because then everything's set up and you're only having to tweak the lighting a little bit, or, little things here and there, instead of like moving this and moving that and moving this up and moving that down, right? Time is money. And while it doesn't seem like a lot, 30 seconds here, 30 seconds there, a minute there, 2 minutes there, that ends up being 15 minutes, which you could have gotten 2 or 3 more photos done in that time. Listing. So what I do for listing, and I mentioned childcare, this obviously isn't going to work for everybody, but find ways to do stuff like this. If you part-time resell because you have a full-time job, you could do this on your lunch or on a break. Or if you take the train, you could be sitting there on the train and doing it. Find times to do things. But listings. So what I do for listings, I go through when I do a mass listing session. I have a Google Docs, and I started doing this before they had drafts. So I've kind of just gotten into the habit. But then I'm so weary of drafts. It's probably just in my mind. But I know when they first came out, if you did a draft and then you listed it like a week later, it had the date that you started the draft. And so then it didn't go to the just in category. So I kind of have had that. I think they fixed it since then, but I have it in my mind and I have my system down, so I don't mess with it. But you could do this in drafts as well. I go through and I create a title, I create the description, and I create the comps. And I do this in a Google Sheet or a Google Doc, so I can have it on my phone, I can have it on my tablet, I can have it on my computer, I have it with me wherever I am, and I can go through and do mass listings because again, time is money, and I have PoshMark up, I have my computer up, so I'm not having to set things up multiple times, and you kind of get in a flow when you do marathon sessions of things to where things are going a lot quicker. You're kind of in that right mindset when I'm doing listings. So at childcare, I will usually sit down for an hour and I'll go through and get the listings ready, the descriptions and titles and comps ready for 20 or 30 items. And so now I have the pictures ready for my marathon session. I have the listings ready. I can go through when my kids are playing nicely, sometimes that happens, and I have an extra 5 minutes, boom, 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 I do a listing, I'm good to go. Things to include in a listing that I have found extremely invaluable, very, very helpful. It will save you time. It may take you a couple minutes up front, but it'll save you time in the long run when you don't, it'll stop people from asking as many questions because that's time that you have to spend, and it's usually not at the most convenient time, right? It's an app time and you're like, oh crap, someone asked a question. Let me go spend 15 minutes finding this inventory, taking a picture, measuring it. So a couple things that I find when listing. Include all 8 pictures. I mean, take a picture of everything. When I do listings too, I imagine myself as the buyer. If this was a pair of shoes that I wanted, what would I want to know in a picture because I can't physically see it? Take a picture of everything, right? Disclose everything. That is going to help your ratings. If it has a scuff mark on it and you think it's going to devalue the item, it may lower it a little bit, but it's going to prevent it from getting sent back, and it's going to prevent it from a low rating. So disclose everything, take pictures of everything, include them in the listings because that will save you time in the long run. A couple things so definitely all 8 pictures. That also I've heard helps with the algorithm if you have all 8 pictures. Couple things measurements of everything. Clothing items, I do armpit to armpit, waist if it matters. I mean, if it's like why can't I think of the word right now? A flowy dress. Why can I not think of the type of dress that is? Anyway, so if it's not fitted, don't include the waist, but include the waist if necessary and the length. That's typically what I include in all of the clothing items, unless it's something unique. Like if it's 3/4 sleeves, I will include the length of the sleeve. Because that's like a little bit of, or like a shorter sleeve, something that's like not a typical size. And then also in shoes, I include the measurements of the heel height. And then if they're boots, I do measurements from the top of the boot to the bottom of the sole. So you can get the heel height, and then you can also get how tall the shoe is. I find if you put in over the knee or mid calf, those help for SEO purposes, but not everybody is the same height, right? And so over the knee, for someone who's 5'2" is going to be different for someone who's 6'1". So that's why I do it in pictures so they can see exactly what it is. And then also in boots, I measure the calf width because I get questions. You get questions often in boots. I have big calves. Will these fit? I measure it. They can figure out if they're going to fit or not. And then I don't have to find the inventory, pull it out, and take a measurement. So those are a couple measurements that I include for shoes. And it's one thing that I always include in clothing items is whether or not it has stretch. I include the tag to say what it's made out of. So if it has stretch, it'll say, it has spandex in it or whatever. But then I also include, it's a good SEO keyword to have as well, but then I also include that it has stretch in it because a lot of people are going to be like, oh, well, will this stretch a little bit to fit my size? I'm normally a 4. Will this fit? Well, it does have a little stretch to it. And then they're not asking me questions to where, I spend all day with my kids taking care of 3 children that I can't be answering questions all day. as quickly as people usually want it in like a social media app. So this kind of minimizes the amount of questions that I get. And then shipping. So shipping. I have found that people want shipping fast. I think if you were to poll people, and I could be wrong, but if you were to poll people, one of the most important things when purchasing from a reseller on Poshmark or any other app is shipping time. We live in a world where people want things now, right? So they're buying something, they want it now. So having to wait 4 days, like, no. So how do I make sure that my shipping is on par and that as a busy mom, I have time to ship? A couple things that I do, and I'll show you a picture of my inventory. I kind of debated showing it to you because it's not very pretty, but then I was like, you know what? This is real life. This is me. I am a mom of 3. I am a reseller part-time. I don't have this beautiful, gorgeous studio, whatever. I have taken over our house to do this reselling business, and I'm sure that most of you have. Drop a note below. Tell me how you do your inventory and where it is. When I first started, there was like a box in my bedroom and some in the closet and some on the main floor, and I finally overtook our unfinished laundry room. And that's what I'm going to show you a picture of. And I have everything organized by number in bins. So I take a picture of it, I fold it up, and I put it in a plastic bag, and I put a number on it. I put it in a plastic bag so that it preserves it. It doesn't get caught on anything else. It doesn't accidentally get scuffed, whatever. Like I've taken the picture. I know it's going to be in the same state as it was when I took pictures as when I ship it. So I don't have to spend time looking over it again. I make sure to lint roll it before I do it, everything so it is ready to ship when I pull it out of that bag. I don't personally ship in plastic bags unless it needs it. So if it's something like silk or it's a high ticket item or leather purses, I will put it in a plastic bag because I ship everything in USPS boxes. And if you didn't know this, USPS, you can get boxes from them. You can get supplies from them for free. So that's why I do that. But then so 2 reasons for I don't do plastic and I ship in boxes. I resell to help reduce waste, and boxes you can reuse. If you sell, and I'm not dissing on anyone, everyone has their different strategies. The poly mailers are so cute. But I ship in boxes, 1, because they're free, and 2, because they can be reused. And I actually encourage my customers to reuse the box. I put a little note in there. I'll drop a note. I'll do the picture above too of the note that tells them like, reuse this box. Tag me on Instagram if you do. Let's see how many times it can get reused and where in the world it goes. And then that's why I don't use plastic, because plastic just gets thrown away, and plastic is so bad for the environment. So I only use it if I absolutely have to. When I put my item into plastic, I don't to store it. When I store it in plastic, I reuse those plastic bags. So I will take it out to package it and then reuse it for another item. So it's kind of a tangent on my environmentally sustainable business. But how is this going to help you? Time is money. So you spend a few minutes up front organizing your inventory. So then, like for me, it's 8:30 at night. I have 5 packages to do. I am tired. But the most important thing is getting it shipped out tomorrow. So I package I ship out next day every single time. Unless like I'm sick or something, right? And what allows me to do this is because my inventory is organized. I've timed it. It takes me 1.5 minutes to do a package. And that's from start to finish. I print my labels on my printer. I usually will do it from my phone. Oftentimes I will do it while I'm upstairs hanging with my kids and they're playing nicely for a few minutes. I can get on my phone. So then when I come down to package, my labels are all ready to go. I have my inventory all nice, so I can look on my listing, pick the number out that I want, go pick that out. I also I know a lot of people like to package it pretty, and again, 2 reasons I don't do this, actually 3. I am doing this to help with the environment, and so I don't like to include waste that's not necessary. I don't want to spend the money on it, to be completely honest. And then also time. It would take me more time to do that, so I don't think that I would be able to ship as quickly if I did that. I have a 4.9 star rating. I have gotten one comment, which is like 0.00001% of my packages, one comment about how my package could have been nicer. And you're not going to please everyone. So, I mean, I feel like that's pretty good. I put my item in the package, I put in a business card, and I write thank you for, or enjoy your skirt, package it, and done. So I can do 5 items in like 10 minutes, and it allows me to ship out every day, which I think is what people really truly want. Oh, and then the other thing that I do to save time, I do a schedule an office pickup, schedule a post office pickup. And you can go online on USPS and you can have your regular postman pick up items from your house on the regular schedule. It's completely free. And so I will schedule, if I sell something, I will schedule them to pick up the next day. And then this also helps me ship same day as well. If someone buys something and I'm home and available, I will package it up and set it out if the postman hasn't picked it up yet. So that definitely helps me save time. And so I think that's it. Let me make sure I covered everything. Yep. So there's a couple tips. I hope some of these tips are useful for you. Leave some of your tips down below. I love hearing new ideas. This is a community for everybody. So I want other people to read the comments, and if you have this great idea, share it with the community. Follow me on Instagram. Make sure to hit notifications and subscribe to my channel. If you want a shirt, leave a comment below. They are so cute. Have a good day.